Well, yeah, I just moved out of my hovel after, I think I moved in there August 1st, 1997, so it's more than 14 years I've been in the hovel. And it was a really shattering experience because when you've got your place, like you've got your pad and I had my pad, like you can still think you're a great person. But then when you have to scramble to find a new place and you see what the prices are and you see what you can afford and you realize, oh, now I'm going to have to give up my health insurance to get this apartment, like you have to confront reality, which is really painful. Like for us, we're not rich and
Right.
we're not married and we're not the most connected people and we're not the most like socially popular people around. And so like I'm like going into Schwarzerville and like and they won't even rent to me and people who can't speak English and like it was like really humiliating.
I want to circle back to one thing you said when you're done, though.
Go ahead now.
No, finish.
Okay.
You said there's some Torah in this.
Yes, it was just like, it was shattering because you have to confront yourself. And it's like the Sabbath and Jewish holidays. You have to confront yourself because, like, on Mondays we can think that our lives are fine because we got baseball on TV and, we can do what we want. But on Shabbos we know our lives are really messed up. There's nothing else we can do on Shabbos but reflect on how sucky our lives are. And we confront our existential loneliness on the Shabbat and our low social position, because it's not like people are just like dying to invite Levi over for a Shabbos meal. And so, same with moving, you have to confront yourself, and then you have to like go through your possessions and decide what you're going to carry and what you're going to leave behind. Just like the Israelites in the desert, they were always having to decide, what am I going to schlep to this next place, and what am I going to leave behind? So, I was kidding. I didn't leave behind bestiality tapes. I didn't have them to start with, so I'm not schlepping, that shtus with me. But I had to go through a lot of stuff and throw it away, and it was kind of painful, particularly because I threw away like all the clippings that I'd accumulated. Like I'd cut out many of the articles on me, so I had like a little scrapbook with like 50 different articles on me, and I threw that out. I threw out my headshots from 1995.
What does this have to do with Torah?
Well, it's very Torah-dic.
You said that, you've been nonstop yapping now since the show started, 20 minutes.
Well, when the Israelites
got two people left we had 5 people in the chat room at one point. Now we have 2. Okay, you've chased everybody away. Do you have anything?
The Israelites in the wilderness, each stop they had to decide, am I going to take my headshots to this next stop? Am I going to take my book of clippings? Like I threw out all the Jewish journals where I was on the cover. I had like 6 of them.
Your ego is way too big for your band.
I threw out like 5 LA weeklies where I was on the cover.
Your ego,
threw them out.
Your ego is bigger than your hovel. Okay.
I had this like big bag of videotapes of like TV programs I'd been on, and I like threw them out. So I cleansed myself of a lot of narcissism. I had like several books of like my acting photos and my headshots and like my modeling shots, and I like threw all that out. So it's like I really did a deep spiritual cleanse. And
that's good. I like that. I'll tell you something.
Yeah, go.
There was the thing I wanted to circle back is related to that. You said something that I just was like, what? You said we can sit here in our homes and we can think to ourselves how great we are. I don't know about you, but I don't relate to that. I don't sit here and go, oh, I'm so great. But I imagine that is something that you do say to yourself.
Yeah.
And I've heard you say before things that are just like weird to me. You say like, oh, what matters to me is how many people are reading my blog, and when a lot of people are reading it, I feel so important. And then you said it another time, you actually said that you consider yourself a thinker.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God. It's like, let other people say these things if they would even dare to. I mean, I wouldn't call you a thinker because the only thoughts you have are Dennis Prager's. So
I have a lot of thoughts about sex.
your whole thought thing has been taken over by this guy. It's like
he's a zombie. He's inhabited my brain and taken up residence there.
I don't consider you. I don't even know if you've ever had an
original thought.
And anytime I bring to you something that is obviously truth, you can't even recognize it. You're not a thinker. You can't process new information. I give you things, it's clearly the truth, and 5 minutes later we see you make the same damn mistake, and you just, it goes in one ear and out the other. I don't consider you the least bit a thinker. You're not an honest thinker. You tune everything out. You're not a thinker. The next thing is, you go by how many people go to your blog. It's got to be pointed out to you at some point that if it wasn't for your porn, nobody would ever go to your blog, okay? It's people looking for porn, okay? Second, who cares how many people are there or not? I mean, I guess it makes a difference if, in terms of hits, in terms of getting money. But why should that determine your self-esteem? I don't follow that. You know, there was a time when I was huge on the internet. In 1997. In 2007, if you went into Google searches, right, and you put down the word rabbi, R-A-B-B-I, generic word, and you went on Google Images, I was the first photo that it would saw. Not the Lubavitcher Rebbe, not the Rambam. The picture that you would see first, the very first one, was me. Okay, so I'm a has-been now. Nobody cares about me. You know, that was when I was in a movie that was an Academy Award winner, right? No, today I'm a has-been. I don't care about that. That doesn't affect my self-esteem. What might affect my self-esteem is if there was a woman in my life. That affects my self-esteem because it's like when I'm alone and there's nobody in my life, I feel like a piece of shit. I feel worthless. But if I have a woman and I'm complete, okay, that's it, right? But all this other stuff you've hooked onto is, and I can say a source for that, because the Torah recognizes that it's no good for man to be alone, and we are not creatures. God did not create us as creatures to be alone. He created us non-independent. We need to be with somebody else. But this ego crap, where your self-esteem is determined by your accomplishments, is Western. That is not a Torah concept. So it doesn't even compute to me. It doesn't. I don't know if it computes to anybody else out there in the Torah world, because what you're bringing is Western values, and it's, oh, what are my accomplishments? How have I built myself up? Oh, I'm not built up right now, therefore I feel like a failure and I'm my low self-esteem. But those are Western ideals. It's almost as if your parents pushed Western ideals into your brain, and that is your measurement of yourself. And when you don't add up to what you think you should be according to Western values, then you look at yourself and you say, I'm not a success. But those are not Torah values. Torah cares about this. Are you doing mitzvahs? Yeah. Are you seriously doing mitzvahs?
Yeah, I didn't sleep with my mother. I didn't sleep with any family member.
Okay, we'll get into that in a sec. Well, save that. Okay, so
I didn't sleep with animals.
Okay, you're doing the mitzvah. Yeah. You know what you just did? You just qualified for the 7 B'nai Noah.
I didn't sleep with guys. I didn't sleep with other people's wives.
All right, we're gonna get it.
Not recently.
If you're learning Torah, you're doing mitzvahs, and you have your brain on straight. You understand Torah. You're thinking in terms of Torah values, you know, and you know what God wants, and He wants you to get married, and He wants you to have kids, right? Right? Yeah. And you're doing something about that.
He wants you to blog and get thousands of visitors.
Forget the blog. That's not part of Torah.
Oh.
What God wants from you
is to be on the cover of the Jewish Journal.
No. God wants from you is just to be a follower of Torah and mitzvahs. Get married, have kids, bring them up front.
That's be on 60 Minutes.
No, God, that is all West. Those are a combination of your ego, your own personal goals based on Western values. And you know what I mean by Western? Does that mean anything to you?
Yeah.
Western as opposed to
Hellenic, as opposed to Jewish.
As opposed to Jewish.
Hey,
right?
did you guys see me on 60 Minutes?
No, and nobody cares.
Hey, come on, who's the biggest self-promoter here? You or me?
I am. No, you are.
No, you are.
You are.
Like, I was in an Academy-nominated movie. I'm Rabbi Rabs, the first rabbi comic. I was the rabbi on MySpace. Like, you know, read Rabbi Rabs' Facebook status updates. Like, you're every bit of the self-promoter that I am.
Yeah, but I don't care. It doesn't affect my self-esteem.
Really? It doesn't? Like,
no.
When good things happened in your acting and comedy career, that didn't affect how you felt about yourself.